Hello.
Good morning or
Morning.
good afternoon, actually.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah. What's going on for you?
Oh, still battling virus stuff. Cold.
Mhm.
I actually did go home yesterday.
Good for you.
Yeah, took a
Um,
took me a minute to come to that conclusion, but
oh, I'm so proud of you because I know how hard that is. Like literally, it is. It's just so hard to
oh,
go.
I saw my name on the slubbing list for the
Mhm.
third time this
Okay.
week, and I just lost my shit, which, like, under
The
normal
third time?
circumstances, yeah.
Why? Why three times? You're supposed to do it once a week, maybe two, if they're like really pushing.
Yeah, it's the first time this ever happened, but like I was like pissed. And
Yeah.
usually like I can self-regulate if I'm in a good place, but when I get this worn down, I'm not. So I just kind of sent a shitty message. I was like, am I gonna get paid for this? They're like, no, your timetable is light. And I was just like, well, I've been sick all week. I've been toughing it out. I'm not gonna do it anymore. I need to go home and rest. And I got called to the office. I had to apologize. It's okay. But I didn't handle it in the most graceful way, but it was like
Okay.
actually like a good wake up call because I was like, why does it have to come to this for me to just take care of myself? Like, why? You know what I
Ah,
mean?
girl,
Why do I push
I,
myself? Oh, I'm almost dead. Like, no. So
I know what you mean. That's what happened to me. And that's like my vibration just got so low and I got sick because I literally was just pushing, pushing, pushing.
yeah.
It's, we don't need to do this to ourselves. And this is all part of why we learn these things and why we talk together. Honestly, I was having that reflection while I was driving and I was like, sometimes until you like get to the bottom or you like just feel absolutely done and out of it, you don't see things clearly because you're not
Exactly.
like forced to look at it in a certain way, or until you like kind of burn everything down or tear everything down, then you go, oh wow, look at it from a different perspective. And that can be so hard, especially when you have, a lot of brain chatter.
Yeah. And I think about my work ethic. Like I have like a really strong work ethic, but
Yeah.
like my big point of reflection yesterday is like, why does it have to be this extrinsic thing? Why can't I be working that hard for myself? And so that's been my new mantra. I work for me, you know. Like I'm not gonna not do a good job at work, but I'm not gonna kill myself doing
Yeah,
what is pretty much a thankless job because I'm consistent, because I do my best. Like I just get more piled on my plate and it's not
I
stuff that
know.
feeds me. So
I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Because
you
like literally that's where I got to probably a few years ago with my work. And now I'm kind of getting there with my life. And that's messier. So I understand where you're at and I understand like a lot. So please know that you are not alone. And yeah, you know,
yeah, thank you. And when I saw your challenge post in your hearts group about saying no, I was like, this feels like some synchronicity right here. Like it took
oh,
me like snapping at my boss and just to say no. And I should have just said no out of self-care. Shouldn't have come to like me having a moment at work with my boss, which is not a good thing. And I
yeah.
like my boss.
Yeah, of course. And it's not a bad thing. You can also look at it in a different way that like even though that happened with your boss, she has seen so much and she's so understanding and
Mm,
okay to be human and have your moments, as long as you are learning and growing from those moments. And if you can't, you're getting help in order to learn and grow from those moments.
Yeah.
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 You're welcome. Hey, Sarah, how are you doing? I'm glad you're here.
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm going through a lot of stuff. So I'm good, really, but I'm learning to, I'm grateful for you ladies, I must say, because as you've gone through this program that I've developed and really worked on over the last, like, oh gosh, years, many years, I'm going through it again with you. And I'm learning new things about myself and I'm having new revelations. So it's been a blessing for me too. And I thank you, ladies.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
So today I just sent you in an email. I've been working on the workbook I told you for this course because as you guys said, it would be really helpful to have one to go along with it. And I'm working on that. So I just sent you week 11's workbook because you might want to, I know you will want to have this to have more time for reflection than we actually have today. And because I put tons of questions in this week for people to really, really get clear and reflect on what it is that they are aiming towards next. Because we set our goals in the beginning, we had these ideas, we've scripted some things about our lives as we've gone through these weeks, and now it's really about building a sustainable future. And so this week's theme is Envision, and the whole purpose is to like start reflecting, start what's the word? Like paring things down, pruning, trimming, making sure that you have like the best of the best that you could desire. And then you start building your life sustainably towards that. And please take it from me. I have learned so much in the last 8 months about how to be not sustainable. And it's been really challenging for me. And so even I'm so grateful I get to this week and I'm like, right, go back to sustainability. Everything doesn't have to be done at once. There's not, and I always know that time's an illusion, but I'm also one of those people who always feels like kind of running out of time. And I've always felt that way in my life. So I'm learning how to be gentle and not in a rush to really build something that I love and will love indefinitely. So when you're watching this week, I'd like you to really think about your truest desires as if the answer is always going to be yes, and focus on those, because it's the fear and the fear of the unknown and the wonder and the thinking that we have only what we can that keeps us stuck. So this week, let's really open to possibilities. In your email, you'll see that workbook. You can use it today as we go along, or you can still write in your journal, whatever works for you. Do you guys see it in your emails?
No, I don't. I just refreshed and I don't see it. Sarah, do you see it?
Actually, you'll see it in a second. I didn't realize that the file was still loading. Sorry about that. It's coming in like maybe 2 minutes. The file was taking its time. It's large, so that's why. It's almost there. So I'll share with you my screen for our PowerPoint this week. And you have some homework, but it's like not anything that you haven't already done. We're going to be creating some vision boards on Sunday. And so I would love for you to bring your journal that has all the important things that we've learned and discovered about ourselves, your favorite quote, any kind of pictures that really represent what you want in the future. You can get them off the internet, or if you have magazines, you can cut them out. Maybe you have words, maybe you have like a certain, like a ticket or something, you know what I mean? Like things that you would put on a vision board. Your homework is to bring that with you to my place on Sunday, and we're going to create vision boards together. Let's see if the email sent now. Should. I can't see anything. We don't need that. Let's go to the email. Okay, now it's sending. Here we go. You can download a copy of it and then write in it. It is now in your email boxes. Thank you for your patience. I didn't realize how large it was. So today, like you just said, you are going to be working on yourself, by yourself, and for yourself. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's perfectly timed.
Mm. And I love this silly little representation of like, yeah, I have found myself in the mirror. Like, you are worth it, and embracing your own worthiness is really the key. Today we will reflect, and we're going to talk about how self-care isn't selfish. We're going to look at the misconceptions of why self-care might seem selfish, and then we're going to flip the script. Oh, bye, Sarah. Then we're going to focus on some self-talk and some self-love, which helps us to envision a sustainable future. And we're going to look at your version, and it like our individual versions of luxury, bougie, fancy, whatever it is for you that makes you feel spoiled. And then we'll talk about how you can set up some daily self-care routines and what you would do for occasional self-care routines in particular instances. So like you said the other day, when you had like a like the kind of not yourself in front of your boss, there are things that we can like put in place for when we do something like that. We have a self-care practice that helps us feel better about it. And I already told you about your homework and some things we're doing this week. Okay, so do you have the email now?
Yeah, I just downloaded it.
So all of these questions are in there, and all of the things that I'm talking about, like the things I will say, they're also in there kind of like a little book. So if you miss anything, it is all in there, and so you don't have to worry. Now, like I said, I have so many questions for you to reflect on, and so I don't need you to reflect on every single one right this minute. But on each page that we go through today, I'd like you to pick one of the questions and journal it, and really like think about it. Just one, and that'll be enough for today. So when we're thinking about ourselves, what does unconditional self-love look like for you on a daily basis? Does it consist of self-care? Hold on, I gotta let her in. When you love yourself unconditionally, how is it that you wake up? When you love yourself unconditionally, how do you move your body? How do you speak to yourself? What kind of people do you hang out with? How do you eat? How do you sleep? All of these questions are really, really important for you to like start treating yourself with the unconditional love that you deserve. So pick a question on this page and take a minute to either think, journal it, or actually journal it. And I'm going to grab my journal because I wanted to write something down. Sarah, you all good?
Yes, I had like internet connection problem.
Grabbing my journal. So I wanted to say, oh, and I did find examples of my scripts, Heather. I took pictures of them. It took us a little moment to find them, but I did find some.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll read you one of them because it's really quite funny to me how like accurate it was, except I'm not in the right album. That would help. Okay. One of the things I scripted was my new career story. So I was making like up a story as if it was my career. And I said, my yoga and wellness business is profitable and sustainable. I am the CEO boss bitch. And notice how everything I write is in present tense. I like, even though it hasn't happened, I'm pretending that it already has, so I can be in that done energy. I live my dream life. I teach/host yoga retreats and Reiki retreats in stunning, beautiful nature locations all over the world. I have a membership program that takes care of itself, basically, like in that sense. I don't know what that really means yet. I have a team of people who help me in my business, and I am the CEO. My business allows me to have the career of my dreams, reaching and helping others discover their gifts and talents and their purpose in life. I proudly and easily say no to things that do not serve me or the greater good and do not align with myself, my values, my business. I am a highly sought after expert or specialist in the industry. So you can kind of get an idea how I like vibe to the point where this is what I want in my life. And so I write it out, I live in that moment, and I evoke strong emotions like being able to say no to things and helping others in the way that I know that I can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. And then when I'm writing that script, I'm really embodying those feelings. Like I'm sitting with it and like trying to imagine what it would be like and be there so that I can really, like when I read it again, it ignites those feelings. And now this is a little bit old, so I would now revise this, not that it would change entirely, but I have more clear details. So when you go back and read them again and again, you have time to notice where you're getting clearer, and it's a beautiful thing. So Sarah, today we're going to journal one question from each page only, and I sent you the whole book so you can work on, not the whole book, the whole this week's book, so you can work on these questions in your own time and really take time on them. Did you have time to reflect on one question on this page? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's go to the next one. Reflect some more. What kind of activities do you engage in? What does your home look and feel like? And Heather, it's again perfect because you were telling me that you're like going to clean something out and paint a wall. What does your home look like and feel like? What do you want that to feel like for you? What beliefs underlie your self-love? What is one feeling you can accept and feel? What rules or conditions can you relinquish, like get rid of, to love yourself unconditionally? And how do you get rid of them? How do you relinquish them? How can you say no more? What steps do you take? For instance, this might include working with a coach, a trainer, an accountability partner. You might even seek a therapist or doctor or an alternative healer. And these things are not bad. And it's hard sometimes to break that thought pattern that this means we're less than or we have a problem that we need to fix. No, we're just working through life. And this human experience is amazing and wonderful and scary and challenging and heartbreaking and fulfilling to the utmost once we find our alignment. And how can you tend to your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual needs? So take a moment, choose a question, we'll reflect. Is this enough time? I'll give you guys just one more minute if you need. Okay, so then the next one. Reflect. How are you thinking and feeling right now? What is your truth today? And again, it can change. It's okay that it can change. You can pivot. You can do whatever makes you happy without the guilt. How do you love your closest people unconditionally? What does this entail? What's in that? How can you start to love yourself in this way? When you think of loving yourself unconditionally, what reactions do you have? These might be a range of reactions, even contradictory ones, which of course is totally okay. Take a moment. Okay. If you need to go back to any of these questions or the one that you're working on later, please take your time. These are a lot of questions, and I know that they're deep, so you can take your time this week working through them. So the whole point of going from stressed out to blissed out is building a sustainable life. When we are stressed, life is not sustainable because we can't keep going this way. Our bodies will physically shut down because the distress manifests as dis-ease in our body. And it goes back to when we were talking about our food body, or in the kosha system, the first outer body, our anamaya kosha. This layer needs tending to. And when we have stress on our body, that constant level of cortisol raised in our blood, it really sends signals to the rest of our body and makes things like off balance. We are not in homeostasis. And in order to come back to that, we have to be able to center ourselves and to feel sustainable. So we're on a mission here, ladies, to create lasting and authentic self-worth for you. And it's for you. Yours might look so different from mine, or there might be some super deep similarities. But we are on a mission to know that our self-worth doesn't change. It doesn't change from the moment we're born. You are worthy. Well, from the moment of conception, you are worthy. You don't have to earn anything. You just being you is worthy enough. You are perfect the way you are. And we have all these stories that have added to the we're not perfect, we're not worthy, we're not enough, which is so, so untrue. So I know how the brain works. I know when we are stressed out, or if we are just kind of up in our heads a lot and not really in embodied state, we spend so much time doubting our self-worth. But it's really important when that happens to like stop it, because we know how to stop the stress response. We can stop our thoughts and we can say, well, but that's not a true thought. Let's go back to what is true. You at your essence, you are pure. You are love, you are joy, you are peace, you are harmony. You are that sustainable self. You are worthy. And so we're gonna look a little bit more into sustainability and how you can flip what's going on in the brain to something that's serving you. We're gonna ditch this self-sabotaging behavior. So identify what you gain, like really think about it. What do you gain from vibrating at the same speed and frequency as unworthiness? Unworthiness vibrates at such a low frequency. What are you gaining from that? Some people think it is stability and security, because if you're vibrating low, you're accepting the love that you think you deserve. It's one of my favorite quotes of all times, and it's from the novel. I might get the title a little bit wrong, but Becoming a Wallflower or something like that. If you know the book I'm talking about, tell me the title, please. But there's a quote in there that says, we accept the love we think we deserve, whether that's from ourselves or from others. And so your thoughts, what you think, determines how you're going to accept love from yourself and others. And we already know that we can change our thoughts. We can have intentional thoughts. We can stop the unintentional thoughts and work towards building a better inner script. So some people feel that they have peace when they identify with unworthiness, because they've talked themselves into like how unworthy they are. And so if they just stay in this low vibration, it's, you know, peaceful enough and safe for them. And you also might have a false sense of self-worth. We don't need to be vibrating low. And the moment we like decide and choose for ourselves enough, that's when we start raising our vibration. And from experience, me being this person, I've gone through the ups and the downs, and I'll let you know, it's not linear. You're not going to just be like, oh, now I'm back to normal. There's nothing different for me. This is how I am now. Okay, great. And then something might happen and it will set you off course, and you're going to have to do the inner work again. You're going to have to do that stopping your thoughts, breaking the stress cycle, breathing, using yoga, dancing, any of the techniques that I've taught you, rituals, things like that, to build your practice back up so that you're back to the point where you remember you're worthy, you're so worthy, and you remember who you are. So if you're in a low vibration right now, I invite you, and even if you're not, I invite you to just like put down your pen for a minute allow your hands to rest wherever's comfortable. And take 3 deep breaths, and we're going to sigh them out. So just inhale through your nose. And release any unworthiness. Inhale through your nose. And release any stories that are no longer serving you. Inhale once more through the nose. And I invite you to release the past that is holding you back. Then let your breathing be regular. And then notice how you feel. Can you do you, either of you resonate with this idea that you really are worthy, or is this something that maybe you're still working towards understanding? I'd love to hear from you.
I think it definitely like intellectually makes sense, but there's a gap. I think we sort of, like there's like a set point theory for weight. I think it exists in other dimensions too, like our emotional space. And a lot of what we do is just so programmed. We're so used to it, and it does take interruptions and a lot of work to shift that. And just journaling and reflection, because we can fool ourselves like intellectually, like, yeah, I'm there, I got it, but where's the disconnect happening? And
your intuition knows that, right? You said, where's that disconnect happening? Your intuition knows it intellectually, sure, you know it, but there's that disconnect in your like outer world.
Yeah, like going to work when you're really sick. That's a disconnect. That's not.
Yeah. So like I'm challenging myself with this a lot, and I did it yesterday, and like I just teared up because I'm so proud that I did it. It was so hard for me. Yesterday I was meant to go to a restaurant with my friend, and she messaged me, and I was like, I don't want to go. This is a full body no for me. I could feel it. I was like, I only want to stay home, start decorating my tree, and I don't want to be around people right now. And I messaged her, and I asked first, because I'm still working on this. I was like, would you be disappointed if I didn't go? And she said, no, of course not. Like, I want to see you, but la 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 la. And so I said, I'm going to stay home. And I it was such a moment where I'm like, I just said no to something that really is like not a full body yes. And so now I'm working with this idea. I've done it before, but I'm back to working with this idea of, if it's not a full body yeah, I don't think that I need to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I take out obligations from that, mind you. Like work, we have to do it, but you know what I mean? Like other things, I don't have, but even work, if you're that sick, you don't have to do it. There's other people.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you, Heather, you are worthy. You are so loved, and you are worthy just as you are.
Thank you. And I also, like, when I'm not holding myself in a place of worth, I don't hold other people in a place of worth either. Do you know how many mean thoughts I had about people who stayed home sick? And it's like not true. And I'm like fighting with myself. I'm like, like they're sick, it's okay. But like there was an underlying resentment there. So
yeah. And resentment
really, I was splitting.
Do you know that resentment comes from this idea that we think that we can't do what the other people are doing? That's why the resentment comes. But in fact, we totally can do whatever that person's doing. We just have to make that choice as well.
Yeah.
And Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Darling, I want you to know that you are so worthy. You are worthy just as you are. You are so loved, and everything about you is exactly how it's meant to be in this moment.
Thank you, very sweet of you.
Do you feel worthy in your?
And is the book called?
That's okay. We all are a little bit bleh. Are you feeling worthy in yourself, or are you still working on this idea?
I think I'm still working on it. So some days are better than others.
Yeah, okay. And knowing that, can you make that commitment to yourself that even on the days when you're not feeling so worthy or you're having those doubts, that you do one thing that makes you feel a little bit better?
Okay, I can do that.
All right. And here we're going to actually set some things up so that you can do that. We're going to plan ahead so that when those moments come up, because they do, we're human, we're living this experience, we can figure it out. Okay, so self-care isn't selfish, and I will preach this until the cows come home, and many times I will do this for myself, and many times I will neglect myself. I am guilty of that. But when we practice that self-care, we commit. It's that commitment and consistency to taking an active role in safeguarding our wellness. And that's on all levels. Like, I literally talk about our whole body every single time, because you can't separate the layers of the self. And being proactive, so going before you get to this point where we're all sick. Like, we don't all need to, I mean, we would probably have gotten sick anyway because we teach children and they're gross. But we get run down because we're not being as proactive as we can, especially in times of duress. And I love, Heather, that you stood up for yourself and said, no, I'm going home. That is so amazing. That was a time of duress and you were proactive. So good for you.
Thanks.
And you're welcome. And it means doing what's good for you. We already know this. And when we do this, when we actually practice self-care, this is the most brilliant thing for me. It increases our emotional and physical stamina. When we take time and tend to ourselves, it's like when you run, if you run, or when you do any exercise. It's hard at first, but as you stay committed, you're building this resilience, you're improving your self-esteem. You have more stamina emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually and intellectually. It's you're getting grit, and grit's that thing that makes you keep on going. So hold on to that grit. You maintain good self-care so you can be compassionate to yourself and others, and you're impassioned. You want to be passionate about stuff and engaged, not withdrawn from the world. And it means doing important work in one area without sacrificing the other areas. So it's all about that balance again. And in yoga, it's we want to have pressure and ease. We want to have contraction and expansion. We want to have softness and stillness, as well as strength and movement. So it's all about this balance, and we have to maintain it so we can be sustainable. And keeping that positive attitude in spite of personal challenges. And it doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time or positive all the time. That's not it. But it's knowing in the back of your mind and trusting so much that even when you're going through all the crap, you know that you have a purpose and a mission, and you're centered in that, knowing it will all turn out okay. So having these self-care is good for the day-to-day and for the future and long-term. So let's think about it. These activities really aren't always fun. Sometimes we have to force ourselves to do things like go to the dentist, maybe, I don't know, like maybe you don't actually like getting your hair done, but going to get your hair done, going to a dermatologist if your skin is bad, like me, and I need to do that. That's something I've been putting off. But like, we might think some things are hard or boring or uncomfortable. But when you break down those barriers, when you stop telling yourself those stories that it's hard or you don't like it or it's uncomfortable, then you make that space and ease for things to happen more. And self-care means putting yourself first. Even if you're like, I know that none of us are mothers, And well, I say that, I don't actually know that, but I'm assuming. When people have children, I notice that, especially mothers, I notice that they sometimes think it's really selfish to take care of themselves because they're not putting their kids first. Or if you have a partner and you think that you should put them first, but you need to put you first. And it's not wrong, because when you take care of yourself properly, lovingly, wholly, fully, you have so much more to give. So all of the things we've talked about through the entire 12 weeks, proper nutrition, healthy relationships. I forgot to put sleep on here, but sleep is self-care, exercise, daily consumption of any kind of information. This needs to be your primary focus. If you are not focused on those basic things you need, like sleep, nutrition, movement, and all the stuff that comes into your aura, into your field, you're not going to be doing so well. You do not have to sacrifice or compromise yourself, though. You just have to get in tune with yourself. And if there are a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors that you need extra help with, I'm here to talk with you through that. I'm here to give you some coaching through that. You can send me a message and we'll work through it. You can talk to me whenever and we'll work through it. And if it's something that I can't help you with, because I can't help people with everything and I'm aware of that, I know so many people that I can connect you with. And maybe they have the little key that will unlock whatever it is that I'm not able to. And I don't feel like, I used to feel really inadequate when I couldn't help or share or whatever. But now I understand that it's like, I've got a certain skill set, a lot of them. And there are other people in the world who just say things in a different way and then it clicks for you. So it doesn't mean that I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. It just means that there is more to this equation and it means nothing about me, actually. So these are thoughts that I work through, and I just want to like illustrate them out loud, because even when I've got so much together, there's always work to be done. There's always things that are needing to be vulnerable and that room for evolution. So please, when you have a need, meet the need and create a structure around consistently checking up on yourself to make sure you're meeting your needs, because you want to become a pro at self-care for you. You know you best. So misconception, self-care is considered selfish or self-centered because you only focus on you and you've been conditioned to think it's wrong or selfish or inconsiderate of others. But we are going to flip the script. You are worthy of taking time to be with yourself, to know yourself more, to care and nurture yourself, just like you do the other people in your life. You matter too. And in fact, you matter the most. You're the most important, valuable, and necessary to yourself. Some people think that self-care is only about you. But if we expand our definition of self-care to extend beyond the individual and include our family, our community, the natural world, and all sentient beings, like I think of my plants, they are sentient beings. And we flip the script. Self-care actually means caring for the entire community of which we are part of. And it is protecting this larger order of the world. So I think of myself, sometimes I neglect my plants and I'm like, that's a reflection of my inner world. Like if I'm neglecting myself, it's because and my plants, they are part of what makes me feel happy and joyful and full. And when I neglect that part, I notice how I just notice immediately. And that's a really good way to be aware. So self-care is not about being virtuous. It's not about that. We're going to view practicing self-care as working in ways that are consistent with and model how you want the world to work. What I also love about what I have learned over the years is that no matter what, we work at an IB school, and no matter what, I can't get away from the transdisciplinary themes. They always come up, like how the world works, how you express yourself. Okay, two came to mind, but you know what I mean? Like these themes are relevant no matter where you go. And you need to create the life that you want to live. You decide. Nobody else decides this for you. You do. You are the co-creator of your reality. When you think it, then you actually manifest it. Wait patiently as the gestation period happens. The universe is bringing everything you want into your realm. And maybe everything you don't want, depending on how you're showing up for yourself. So it's not frivolous or it's self-indulgent, and it's not a quick fix. Self-care is not just a hot topic, but that's what it is in the media right now. And we don't need to think about the media's beauty ideals. We need to know that it's not just for people with this extra time and money on their hands, and that it's not realistic for us. That's ridiculous. We have self-care for ourselves every single day. The wellness industry has hijacked it a little bit, and self-compassion and self-love get thrown around a lot. But really, when you practice self-care in any way that works for you, it could be about your money, time, self-care practice. They're energetic entities, and we know that everything is energy. So when we work with the energy and we actually start to vibe at the same level of worthiness and love and hopefulness, even if you're not at worthiness yet, maybe you're at her hopefulness, or maybe you're at possibility. Wherever you're at, raise that vibration every single day, because you get to decide and make these opportunities work. Okay, so here's a little exercise. Identify all the negative things you say to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Try to avoid judgment and shame. The point of this is to be able to clear the old unhelpful stories we have for ourselves and replace them with self-serving practices. This might be triggering, and you might be able to really quickly put these things onto paper, or it might be really hard for you to actually write it down what you say to yourself. But I invite you to just take like 2 minutes to get some of the thoughts out here and reserve the judgment on yourself. No shame, no judgment. We are all doing this in this human experience together, and it's okay. Yes, it is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Sarah. That's the one. Thank you for knowing the name of the book. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Okay, and please take time with yourself when you're ready to go back to this and add to it if you need. If you don't need, cool. Question check-in. How are you feeling right now? Personally, I'm feeling like hopeful. Earlier, I was feeling a little bit like desolate, I would say, like I was really having some thoughts that were not so great. but now I'm feeling hopeful.
I'm glad you've had a shift.
Thank you.
When I first answered that question, I said I felt sad, but
Yeah.
I feel curious right now. I just did the negative self-talk, and I don't really have like, I used to have a lot of negative self-talk, like a lot of it. And I've really worked through it.
Mhm.
But like it's sneaky. Like I think that some of the negative self-talk has been like funneled into the way that I think about other people. Like I expressed some insecurity in my relationship to you, Liz, the other week, and how I feel like, oh, why isn't my partner introducing me to a sister? Da, 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 da. I'm like mad about that. And what is that really about? Like basically you're feeling unworthy. It's like nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And if I felt more worthy, would I be upset that my partner's not ready to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Or
not.
yeah, and or would you feel like an entirely different way? Like there's so many possibilities when you tap into that worthiness.
Yeah, I would just own the fact that, yeah, any kind of real matter of the heart, you take your risks, you take your chances. That's always the way it's going to be, but I'm not going to fall apart if this doesn't work. There's going to be something, you know what I mean? So it's like all that anger is fear, and
It's that trust that it's going to work, right? I say this often, and I have to take my own advice often when I'm having fear. You could choose faith or you could choose fear. They both require you to believe in something that hasn't happened yet and that you have no idea how it's going to turn out. So if you choose fear, you're vibrating low. But if you choose faith, you're vibrating high. And you're going to draw in really that stuff that you really want, not the negative stuff. So
yeah, feeling annoyed at my coworkers for being sick. That's like silly. That's so ridiculous, but that's like negative self-talk in a different format. Like,
yeah.
yeah. Mine is sneaky.
Mine is sneaky too. And some of the ones that I wrote down, I'm like, I remember I used to say that a lot in my head, but it's not so true anymore. And the ones that I like really wrote down right now is that, and I know where they come from. They come from triggers from my childhood and not being wanted. And that was hard for me. And it still is hard for me. And I'm learning how to work through that.
Yeah, it's a big wound.
It is a big wound. Sarah, how you doing?
I don't know. Doing okay.
Pardon?
I'm doing okay.
How's your negative self-talk? Is it a lot?
Oh, it is very negative. Yes, it's a lot.
Okay. And are you seeing it and reading it and going, huh? Are you questioning any of it?
Yes. Well, I'm questioning the intensity of it.
Okay. That's a really beautiful way to look at it, actually.
Yeah.
So with that intensity and other stuff, let's flip the script, guys. Let's just pretend. And because if you can't be there, pretend. Be like a child. Imagine, because I've told you this before, but I have to repeat it because it's so important. Our subconscious has no idea what the difference is between our real reality and a reality that we play in our head. So when we spend deep time in reflection and meditation and visualization, which is what we're doing, we're envisioning our future. When we spend time in there in that brain video, making up the life we want to live, our subconscious accepts it as truth because it literally can't tell the difference between what we really are experiencing and what we're telling it to experience. So you can rewrite your brain, you can rewire it all. And it's so possible for you. The hardest part, I think, is to believe that. And so believing it and telling yourself again and again and again and seeing those little changes as you practice self-care, you're going to believe it more and you're going to go, oh, I saw it there. So you have more evidence now to believe that it's true. And it keeps on happening and happening and happening. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's that good life that you always imagined because you've really been working on it. So now for all of those negative things you said about yourself, use them to come up with neutral or positive thoughts instead. You can use the thought ladder to support you with prompts like I am, I will, I can, I have. So look at least a few of your negative self-talks and choose a different thought instead. Intentionally choose a different thought instead. Okay, now in your notebook that I sent you in the email, I want you later to take some time to write out all the things you love about yourself. They can be small, they can be big, they can be physical, they can be mental, emotional, like any of the layers of yourself. And really spend time telling yourself what you love about yourself. Get a cup of tea or coffee, cozy up, and do this exercise particularly. And I invite you to bring this one, especially to your vision board. You need to know what you love about yourself. It's so important to grow. Then I invite you also to take time this week to script it. I've told you before, and I'll remind you again, that when you wake up, for the first 10 to 15 minutes, you're still really in that subconscious brainwaves. So our theta brainwaves are really active at this time. And so when you wake up, if you have that negative thought, change it immediately because your subconscious is really active. So if you have a negative thought, you can just replace it, delete that negative thought and replace it with a positive thought. You can even, if you had a negative thought, you can say, I take that back. And this is the thought that I give, because when you take it back, it's like the magic of your words, right? And our words are powerful. Your morning self-talk, those first 7 minutes, let it be uplifting. And if you can't uplift yourself, use YouTube, use Spotify, use anything that has stuff to listen to positive affirmations. You can listen to them about health, relationships, money, worthiness. There's all sorts in the interworld, and I invite you to use them in the morning. And then you might have emotional time self-talk and nighttime self-talk. So if you're going through those emotional times, you know what you're going to say to yourself. You plan it out, you script it out, and you can even put it in your phone. That way, if you're having an emotional time, you just go to that note or that picture or however you do it, and you read how you can get through this and the talk that you need to care for yourself. And then nighttime self-talk, as we're going into that subconscious state, let your brain have the best of what you desire by telling it that. So I have a question. Does anybody have anything after this? Do you need to leave right now?
My day's open.
Okay, because I need maybe like 10 more minutes. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Sorry, because I didn't manage my chatting earlier in the timeline. So I think it's important though, so I'm not sorry about that. I'm very happy that you can stay and be with me. So when you envision a sustainable future, think about your version of luxury or bougie or fancy. It doesn't have to be the same as anybody else's, but think about like your most comfortable, fantastical version that you really want. And keep it in line with like really what you do want in life. Keep it in alignment with you. And then you're going to build your self-care routines, your daily self-care routines, and your occasional self-care routines around that. So how can you feel luxurious, bougie, fancy, spoiled, etc. on my budget? And this is really important because people sometimes think that we have to have all the money in the world in order to like live that good life. Instagram, media, whatever, it makes us think this. But actually, you can feel luxurious by simply buying a bath bomb and bringing a tea and setting a candle and like enjoying some time with yourself in the bath. That's luxurious, and it costs maybe 4 KD. You can do that. Maybe what makes you feel bougie is going to a coffee shop and ordering a fancy coffee and sitting there and journaling. Enjoy. Maybe your version of fancy is taking like a $10,000 vacation and you have the means to do that. If that's your budget, go for it. Write down some things that will help you feel luxurious on your own budget. Just like 2 or 3 or 4 that really like come to mind that you could do. Okay. Does anybody want to share one of theirs?
Sure.
Okay.
My hair looks good and my nails are tidy.
Yeah.
My clothes flatter me, well dressed.
I'm gonna add that one to mine if you don't mind. That's great.
Of course. I set a nice table to eat at,
Oh,
and I
okay.
have impeccable table manners.
Oh, that's lovely. Do you really? Are you very like proper at the table?
When I'm with others, but like when I envision this, it's just like something I can do by myself.
It's
You know what I
totally-
mean?
Yeah, you don't
Because
have to keep
I put on a
it
show
in-
for other people, but
Yeah.
like just like setting a special space and just having a mindful meal, like I can do
Oh.
that for myself, not to put on a show.
Yeah. And you're so worthy of doing it for yourself. Like you deserve that 2 minutes it takes to set up a place setting and make it cute for you.
Yeah.
Actually, what you just said really resonates with me. I was in the avenues this morning and I don't know what's been going, I know sort of, but there's been stuff going on in my mind and in my world lately that has like just kind of stopped me. And I was in like H&M Home and I'm like, you can literally buy this stuff to make your house look the way you want to, and you don't have to wait for one day. You don't have to wait for like literally anything. Like if you want it right now and you have the means, you can buy this. And so today I actually bought like 4 dresses, some for vacation and some for here. And I thought to myself, like, why haven't you just done this like ages ago? Your clothes don't fit. You don't look good in your clothes. They're just, everything's baggy. Buy things you like so that you want to show up looking nice. So yeah.
I love that you did that. Good job.
Thank you. I got this one dress that's like for winter, and it's just like this big woolly dress, and I'm so excited to wear it.
Nice.
Okay, and then so I want you really to do this. What are your daily self-care routines? What are you going to do in the morning? And it doesn't have to be a lot of things. It could be one thing. What are you going to do in the noon? In the afternoon, what's one thing you're going to do for yourself? And at night, at least one thing you will do for yourself. Write at least one thing you'll do for yourself. You can write more, of course. And I invite you to do it. You don't have to. Okay. What is the thing that you said you're going to do in the afternoon, Sarah or Heather? Or both?
So I said, I put a time, like when I get home, when I'm done with work, or yeah, I'm gonna just wash the makeup off of my face and put on moisturizer.
Beautiful. That sounds so lovely.
Oh,
Sarah, what are you going to do in the afternoon?
Oh, actually, it's same for me as well. It was like moisturizer and like vitamin C and those serums.
That's so funny. Because literally when I get home after school, especially because my skin's been doing what it's doing, that's one of the first things I do. I'm like, you must wash your face. It's dirty. So aren't we all in sync, ladies? We too funny. Okay, and then these are the ones that you should spend some time this week or whenever you get to it. Really, and Sarah, this one particularly, I think that will help you too. When you are having these moments, these are the occasional self-care routines we need to set up. When you want to feel special, what are you going to do? When you're exhausted, what are you going to do? For me, I'm actually going to sit down and take a nap. When you're confused, when you're scared, when you're anxious, when you're depressed, when you're lonely, bored, or sick, what are you going to do? And these, it doesn't have to be a lot, but like, for example, when you're lonely, you could, I mean, there's so many things you could do, but like, for example, you could reach out and send a text in our group and say, hey guys, I want to chat. Like that's an option. You could connect with somebody on the internet. You could talk to your mom or dad. Like, what do you do when you're lonely? For me, when I'm anxious, I am now learning when I have my anxious moments, I'm learning to take space instead of getting like trying to fix it in the moment. I'm learning to just hold space for myself and allow myself to feel all the emotions, and like lean into them and see what I'm trying to know from that. And then sometimes I just cuddle up with my bunny, like my toy bunny. Like these are things, they're simple practices, but like if I plan out what I'll do before that moment, it's so much better. Then I have a game plan. It's just like anything in life. If you don't know what your end goal is, how do you know how to get there? So if you know when you're anxious, the plan is to do this thing, you don't have to think about it. The decision fatigue isn't there. You just go right into, this is what I do when I'm anxious because it helps me and really makes me feel better. So plan for these. Any questions or comments about that?
no, I think this is super helpful. Never sort of thought about having like a contingency plan. Like when I feel anxious, what's the thing that we did? Tap I can tap.
Yeah. You could even find your anchor. You can make another anchor for when you're anxious to like change into a different feeling.
Yeah.
Tapping, running, jump, like dancing, any of the things that I've taught you over this course, they are so helpful. And like I notice for me, yoga helps me. Even if I just get to my mat and get into child's pose and breathe, it's such a relief. So try any of the things that you've learned. And if you forgot any of them, ask, I will tell you again. And I'm still as you can see, the workbook for week 11 is compiled, but I'm working on the other weeks still. And when they're ready, that's my gift to you for being so gracious and patient as I learn some things about horses.
Thank you.
It'll be ready really soon. The 12th week is almost done, and then I'll stick it all together. And I might separate like the daily self-coaching and the daily self-check-ins so that there's like 3 different sections almost, but I haven't gotten there yet. Now, how do you spend your 24 hours in a day? One time I heard on a podcast or somewhere, I'm sorry, I'm taking a few more minutes. I'm almost done. There's 2 more pages. One time I heard on a podcast or something that the percentage of when you spend an hour of your day working out, how it's like 2% of your day, or that could be bad math. I'm not so good at math, but the point of this is it's such a minimal part of your day to use wisely, to either work out or to take a bath or to do any kind of self-care or to make a good meal. And we spend so much of our time. I remember I told you a few weeks ago about how much time we actually can amount to wasting when we are not doing intentional activity. Like we're scrolling on our phones, we're watching TV, we're doing who knows what. Some of that's good. You need to have some time where it's like you do whatever, you scroll, you look, but it shouldn't be the majority of your time. So how do you spend your 24 hours? And I actually want you to figure it out. I want you to write down how you use those 24 hours in your day. And that might take a little bit of time. So take your time this week. And then I want you to tell me how you're going to spend your ideal 24 hours in a day. And this can be in your current situation, or you can think about your really, really, really ideal situation that isn't this current one, if there is one. So you pick how your ideal works, but what would it look like? For me, more sleep. I don't need a lot of sleep, but I would love to have a lot more sleep. So I'm going to add like 2 hours to my sleep. I think that's so important because when you're well rested, you function better. Everything functions better. Okay. And I told you about the homework. I will just remind you of some things that might be helpful. In our practical classes, we created so many different things. So come prepared with some of these items to put on your vision board, and you can use anything that you've created, like your value scale, the boundaries you have, your ideal day journal entry from the beginning, and you might even have a newer one now, and you can put them both so you can see that. Positive affirmations that really help you, thought ladders that have helped you, your daily self-coaching models that stand out. Maybe you have a particular one that you're like, yeah, that thought was so unintentional and I noticed it and I stopped that thought process. And here's my intentional thought and look at how it serves me. Maybe your inspirational quotes, your embodied scripts that we did last week, your images that resonate with you, words, anything that brings you joy and resonates with you and feels right. Come, and then I said complete all the journaling prompts from this week's workshop and bring them with you if you want to put any of them up. It might take you more time than a week to really go through these questions deeply. I've had a lot of time to go through them deeply, which is why I have them all. But I've compiled them all together for you right now because they are really the questions that for me have been able to get me to understanding my worthiness. So take your time with them. It's not a rush. There's no rush. And if you have, Heather, do you have magazines?
I don't.
Magazines are not really a thing anymore, and I so wish they were. So I was telling Sarah that when you get your images from the internet, then we usually can just Google like, oh, my dream home, like this wooden cabin, let's say. That's not my dream home, by the way. But whatever you see on the screen, and the one that like makes you go, choose that one, please. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, exactly the way, but the one that draws you in, choose that photo and print it, or choose that whatever and print it. Okay, so come prepared with some of these things, and we're going to put it all together on our board. Are there any questions about this? And I'm going to have like physical boards for you, so that we can really have something to put up on our wall. A question, because I haven't bought them yet. I have to go to the store still. Do you want like big ones, or do you want like manageable, like 8x10 ones?
8x10. What's the big size?
Like, you know, those poster boards the kids bring in and they're like big, like they're like this big.
I like smaller things in general.
Okay. I will bring the more manageable size. And I have markers, I have stickers, I have, you know, we're gonna make them lovely.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm leaving you with this quote. Don't fight with yourself, fight for yourself. And if your problem is you're too busy holding on to your unworthiness, you don't need to be your own biggest enemy anymore. It's time to let go. And it's time to surrender and to love yourself, because you are so worthy, and you are just the best you, wherever you are, however you are. So keep building that. Thank you. We'll do our vision board on Sunday and a yoga flow on Wednesday. And dream and give yourself permission to envision a you that you choose to. You have to, I'm giving you the permission. You don't need my permission. You never needed my permission. You don't need anybody's permission. You just need to give yourself the permission to choose you.
Liz, before we go, are there, like for the vision board, are there specific categories that we should look for imagery for? So you said home.
That was just an idea that popped into my mind. But like when I think of a vision board, like what I'm going to be gathering this week as well, I'm going to be gathering things that like for me are my career. Like, where am I going to go from here in my career? Where am I going to go from here in my like relationships? I said home, but like, but one day actually, I do want to have a beach house. Like, I don't know where, but I want a beach house. So I'm probably going to print a picture of a beach house, because one day I really want that.
Okay.
So just think of anything in your, like, think of all the areas of your life. Or you could have a specific vision board where it's like, I'm just going to focus on my career. Go ahead. Or it can be a general vision board. It's up to you which kind you make.
Okay.
Do you need more clarification on that?
No.
If you do, send me a message, and at any point I will answer you.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to tell you guys, I wanted to show you our calendar so we can talk about this last week, because I didn't realize our vacation happened. So when it does, until before. So on Sunday we'll do our vision board. On Wednesday we're going to do our yoga flow. Friday we'll have our week 12 workshop, and Sunday we'll have our celebration practical. And on the Monday, I wanted to do the celebration, the ending of it, but I needed to ask you, would you prefer to just have 2 hours on Sunday instead of coming 2 days?
Sundays are pretty tricky for me because I have my workout in the evening. So
Or we could do 2 hours on the Monday if this, like, I just want to make this the best for you. If you guys, because they'd be right next to each other, and that's fine for me. But if you would rather just do it on one day, I'm okay with that too.
I'm flexible. If you wanted to do 2 hours on Monday, that would work better for me.
Okay,
So,
Sarah, you.
I don't mind Monday. I'm free Monday, also Sunday.
So should
So
we
whatever
do,
works for you and Heather.
they really do both work for me, but I am happy to like condense it into one day. So Heather, do you want to be the deciding factor on that? Because it's fine for me either way.
yeah, why don't we just do Monday, combined?
Okay, so
And-
Monday, can we
Yeah,
go 7 can we do 7 to 9?
sure, we could even go earlier if you want. I don't know
Hold
what
on, let me just check my schedule. What day is that? The 19th. I can do earlier than that. Sarah, can you do earlier than that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, what do we want to do? 6 to 8, 5 to 7? Do we want to do it right after school? Like anything for me.
5 to 7 sounds good to me.
Oh. Oh no, I'm done Arabic then. Yes, perfect. I was like, I have Arabic at that time, but I actually don't because I'm done on the 17th. So perfect. Yoga, 5 to 7. And we will do yoga and practical. Awesome. So ladies, you are so amazing. I'm so grateful to work with you. I'm so grateful to share life with you. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful community we have here.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you too, Liz. You too, Sarah.
Me too. I'm grateful for both of you and for the community.
Okay, all the love. Thank you for your extra time today. I'm so happy to be here with you. And I will see you on Sunday.
See you. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Bye.